far-right and centre-right form a majority on a vote in the European Parliament for the first time.
Israel's defense minister declares a new phase of war following the number of explosions across Lebanon. President Volodymyr Zelensky praised the Ukrainian army for the strike on the Russian military depot.
Over 500 rescue interventions have taken place in northern Italy in the past 24 hours as Storm Boris continues to impact Europe.
The European Parliament has recognized Edmundo González, the candidate of the opposition, as the legitimate president of Venezuela. The chamber rejected the official results of the presidential election held at the end of July and condemned the repression and attacks on civil society under Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro.
And it is adopted.
This is a step further compared to EU member states, which did not recognize Maduro as a legitimate president, but neither González as the winner. 309 MEPs voted in favor, among them the members of the EPP, the largest political group in the parliament.
Ese reconocimiento a lo evidente, lo que las actas electorales que se han distribuido fuera de Venezuela demuestra claramente la victoria de Edmundo González y de la oposición democrática ante este régimen dictatorial.
The European People's Party voted together with the groups further to the right, the European Conservatives and Reformists, Patriots for Europe and Europe of Sovereign Nations, forming a new majority in the parliament for the first time in this legislature. The Liberals also generally condemned Maduro's persecutions and rejected the official results, but the Renew Europe group abstained because they did not want to vote with the far right. Socialists, Greens and the left voted against.
Ninguno de los 27 países de la Unión Europea lo ha hecho, ni la Unión Europea lo ha hecho, y de hecho de toda la comunidad internacional, solo 2 países, Panamá y Ecuador, han realizado este reconocimiento. Nosotros tenemos indicadores sobre el resultado, pero no tenemos todo el cuerpo electoral. Y nos parece que no somos un órgano legítimo para reconocer un resultado electoral cuando no tenemos todas las actas y todos los datos.
The resolution also requests an international arrest warrant for Nicolás Maduro for crimes against humanity on the basis of, quote, grave violations of human rights.
Como nuevo ministro del Poder Popular.
Israel's defense minister declares a new phase of war following the explosions of pagers and walkie-talkies across Lebanon. During his visit to the Ramat David Air Base in northern Israel, Yoav Galan told troops Israel is shifting its attention to Hezbollah.
מרכז הכובד עובר צפונה. המשמעות היא שאנחנו הולכים ומסיטים כוחות, משאבים, אנרגיה לכיוון צפון. לא שכחנו את החטופים ולא שכחנו את המשימות שלנו בדרום. לחובה שלנו ואנחנו מבצעים אותה במקביל.
The fear of further escalation into a full-blown war has been high since the recent wave of explosions in Lebanon killed dozens and injured thousands. Although the Israeli military has not confirmed its involvement, it is widely believed the attacks were carried out by Israel targeting Hezbollah. The militant group and Israel have been clashing for more than 11 months against the backdrop of the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. The US denied any involvement in the operation and say they will further pursue a diplomatic approach to prevent further escalation in the region.
Russian overnight strikes on Ukraine hit 3 districts in Kharkiv, destroying houses and buildings and setting fire to a forest. In one district, a bomb fell between a kindergarten and a school.
Без 15, без 10, 5 слышу в небе что-то большое, как сверкает. И резко бух, и все, и посыпались стекла сразу. Ну, мы выбежали, бегом, одели штаны, бегом документы и на улицу, где все люди.
Meanwhile, in Zaporizhia, 12 settlements are dealing with the aftermath of Russian aerial attacks, which killed 1 person and left 2 injured. Russia's Ministry of Defense has also released footage of what it says shows Russian drones attacking Ukrainian army equipment and military dugouts. It comes as Russian coast guards continue their joint drills with their Chinese counterparts in the waters near the Peter the Great Gulf of Russia.
President Volodymyr Zelensky praised the Ukrainian army for the strike on the Russian military depot and says attacks such as these are what weakens the enemy. The drone attack struck a weapon depot deep into Russia, which housed missiles and ammunition.
Передусім я хочу подякувати сьогодні нашим воїнам, які забезпечують нашу українську далекобійність. Дуже важливий результат є за минулу ніч на території Росії. Саме такі речі послаблюють ворога.
Zelensky also said that Ukraine's victory plan is ready and that the most important thing now is the determination to implement it. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin announced the modernization of the Russian army and navy.
У нас реализуется программа комплексного переоснащения армии и флота. А значит, войска поступят уже не единичные, а серийные образцы современных высокоточных средств поражения и бронетехники, авиации, комплексов обнаружения противника и контрбатарейной борьбы, систем управления и связи.
Putin adds that the effective use of the equipment will require highly skilled people who are ready to work with the new technology.
Despite Kyiv's attempts to draw away Russian forces from Pokrovsk with a surprise incursion into Kursk region, Moscow is still prioritizing its efforts in eastern Ukraine, where their offensive does not seem to ease up anytime soon. The battle for Pokrovsk started months ago when in mid-February Ukrainian forces withdrew from Avdiivka. From there, they have been retreating towards Pokrovsk, a major logistics base and transport hub for Ukraine's armed forces, where multiple roads and rail lines intersect. Since the first breakthrough of Ukrainian defense lines in April near the village of Ocheretine, Russian forces have advanced to over 20 kilometers towards Pokrovsk. In early September, Ukraine transferred more forces to this area, but Russia hasn't moved any of its own away towards Kursk, pushing for more advances towards Pokrovsk while also threatening to encircle a large grouping of Ukrainian forces south of the main area. The Russians are pressing from two directions. They swallowed up the town of Novohorodivka and are pushing forward from the southeast and from Ukrainsk, which fell a few days ago. If Ukraine loses Pokrovsk, it would be much harder to move troops, provisions and ammunition to other parts of an overstretched front line here in eastern Ukraine.
More than 5,000 firefighters are battling 90 reported fires in northern Portugal, where 7 people have died and hundreds of thousands are in danger. 4 firefighters and 3 civilians have died in the country's worst outbreak of fires in recent years. Portugal continues to mobilize its forces and resources to combat the wildfires that have been raging for several days around the western city of Aveiro. Emergency services have reported 90 incidents in mainland Portugal, with 17 fires currently raging and 60 approaching their end stages. The fire in Pesigueiro de Vuga is still active, with more than 500 firefighters on the ground. The weather is set to aid in combating the fires, with the Portuguese Institute for the Sea and Atmosphere predicting lower temperatures, heavy clouds and afternoon showers in central Portugal on Thursday. UN Chief Antonio Guterres said during a press conference that it is clear that the worsening of the fires have a direct relationship with the worsening of the climate crisis. In the last 24 hours, over 500 rescue interventions have been carried out in the northern Italian region of Emilia-Romagna. Authorities have urged people via social media in the affected areas to evacuate their homes. In Romania, whilst residents of the small town of Kudalbi begin to clean up, some recount their traumatic experience.
Am fugit în picioarele goale și în cămașa de noapte. Dacă nu eram moartă, am copiii. Dar munca mea, ca la casa ta, nicăieri nu-i.
In Wrocław, where European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is to meet Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and other heads of government affected by the flooding on Thursday, soldiers and volunteers laid sandbags to protect homes and businesses from swollen rivers. At least 24 people have died in Central and Eastern Europe in Storm Boris since last Thursday.
Europe's first lithium refinery has opened in Bitterfeld-Wolfen in Germany. It took just over 2 years and 140 million euros to complete the plant. Lithium is a key element required for the production of electric vehicle batteries.
Elektromobilität, wenn man auch eine gewisse Leistungsfähigkeit haben will und Reichweite beim Fahren, dann ist einfach die Lithium-Ionen-Batterie unschlagbar momentan.
The plant will receive most of its raw material from Brazil and will then convert the lithium into battery-compatible lithium hydroxide. The refinery is expected to produce 20,000 tons of lithium hydroxide per year, enough to provide for 500,000 electric cars. One of the aims of the plant is to reduce Europe's dependency on external sources of supply. In the future, lithium mined within Europe will also be processed at the refinery.